Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection. Puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron, and we got a lot to discuss. Night 2 of the NBA draft is over. We're going to talk about who are the biggest winners, who are the biggest losers, which players benefited the most from the impact of NIL and so many top-notch players going back to school, some losers of the process, which teams come out of the draft feeling really good, which teams maybe not feeling so hot. Also, Masai Ujiri being parting ways with the Toronto Raptors, so he is no longer a part of basketball ops for the Toronto Raptors. We'll discuss that. The Knicks selection at 50, and then trading back down one spot at 51 and selected Mohamed Diawara. We'll discuss that. But let's get right into it. First of all, this pro is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, your number one place for all your ticket needs. Use promo code OTBBALL for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. So let's talk about it. The NBA draft night 2 is over. Please, Adam Silver, NBA, let's make it one night again. We could get all this done in 3 hours. Three hours, you can get this all done. Let's do it. But let's do that. I also, I don't like how they pick. I didn't like how they picked who gets to get a actual introduction and who doesn't. I don't think everyone. Yeah, we harp. They harp so much on Jokic got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial, and then some guys were drafted during commercials. Let kids have their moment. There's only 60 picks. This isn't the NFL draft where there's 200 and whatever amount of picks. There's a limited amount of. There's only 59 picks this year. Let everyone have a moment, regardless if they're they were at the Barclays Center or not. Let kids have their moment to see themselves get their name called. Don't have to get their name called during a commercial break. I think sometimes ESPN wants to catch that moment so they can have that be the oh yeah, look at this guy. He was drafted during a Geico commercial. Let's just have it have a moment. Nobody needs to go through that. But regardless, night 2 is over. And it started off initially with the Wolves were going to be on the clock, but they wound up trading the pick to the Phoenix Suns. And a guy who I was really surprised dropped into the second round. I had Rasheer Fleming, believe top. Let's see exactly where I had Mr. Rasheer Fleming. I think I had him top 20. Yeah, he was top 20 for me. He was 15, I believe. He was 15 on my board. And for the Suns to go up and trade for him, that was a good pick. That was a good pickup for them. So they started off, and then obviously the guys we saw kind of who we thought were going to be the first round picks. We saw them kind of going. Noah Penda was a guy who many thought was a first round pick. He's going to Orlando. Boston had to pick. They want to trade him to Orlando. I liked what Orlando did in this draft. I really liked their draft. And then Zion James, a guy who I think I had. Where did I have Zion on my board? He was, I think, top 45, and he goes 33. Really really happy for obviously being a Duke fan, seeing Sion, but just his journey, going to Tulane, and I don't even think he was on anyone's radar, you know, before this year at Duke, but then took over the ball handling duties when they were having some real difficulties trying to trying to find that lead guard, and he took over and really played a major role on why Duke had success, and he was a menace on defense, improved the shooting. So a good I don't even know what's going on there. Phone just went crazy, but yeah, a improved shooter, a lockdown defender, one of the better wing, perimeter defenders, on ball defenders in this draft. He's a bull. Gives me a lot of Lou Dort vibes, like that in that mold, like that type of player. Like the shot, I think will be better. He can handle the rock a little bit. So I like that pick, and for Charlotte, just getting more serious players, just getting more serious basketball players. So that was good. Ryan Kalkbrenner, I thought he was going to go in the first round. He wound up. I think he's going to Charlotte too, right? I think he's going to Charlotte too. So, like I said, Charlotte getting more serious basketball players. So that they're that's good. That's good for them. Johnny Broom, and then a Do Thero. I had a Do Thero. I think where was Do on my board? I really love a Do Thero. I had him 14th, I believe. He goes. I know there were some things about his knee, some issues with his knee, and I know some people were worried about his shot, but he's a bull, and the Lakers gonna get him. So the Lakers get some wing help, which they kind of did need, along with some big help, some bigs that they needed. So I like the Do Thero pick. And Chaz Lanier, one of the better shooters in the class, goes. Cam Jones. People, some people thought he might go undrafted because of the combine stuff and not having, not being an explosive guy, not having the intangibles, not the intangibles, the measurables, that you want. But did a good job this year taking over the lead guard spot when Kolek, what was obviously drafted last year. Elijah Martin, he doesn't go in the. I had him top 30. I love. That was one of my guys. Like my fave fives. Elijah Martin. I had him 30th on my board, higher than most people had him, if not the highest. And he goes here. He's going to the Toronto Raptors. So happy for Elijah Martin. Love his journey. Another Bulldog. I think he's like a bigger version, a stronger version of Deuce McBride. To me, the best perimeter defender in this draft. And this is where, as a Knicks fan, a lot of my guys go. I love obviously a Do Thero. I loved. I knew Fleming was going to go. I knew Kalkbrenner was going to go, but I'm like, maybe a Do Thero drops the knee thing. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So I was like, okay. Then all my guys started going. All my guys start going. And I'm just like, all right, this sucks. This sucks. This sucks. And then you get an Elijah Martin, Micah Peavy. I was like, man, a guy who I really liked, a physical wing guard, and then Kobe Bryant goes, and I'm like, that. And then Maxime Ronald goes, who I had 11th on my board. He goes, and I'm like, what's going on here? No, we're just gonna miss. And then Jameer Watkins goes, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight guys who were like I was higher on than most people go. 7, 8 got 8 straight players who I was really high on than consensus go. So I'm like, oh, we're not gonna get our guy, and the Knicks aren't gonna trade up, as much as I had wanted to, and I had said, if Kobe Bryant is there in the 40s, trade up, and he was there at 41, and they didn't move up. That was a little disappointing. I was a little disappointed at that. That they didn't move up for that. But Then followed by Brooks Barnizer from Northwestern goes. Then Roko Zakarski was another guy where I was like, it might be worthy to take a shot on him, an upside pick. Because now I'm thinking, all right, let's just take an upside guy. And Roko is a 7'4", 18-year-old. Like, okay, that could be an upside pick. He goes to Minnesota. Then I'm like, all right, Mari Williams, I've talked about. He's on the board. Or even Bubla Markovic, the Serbian kid. Maybe him. Those are two, especially Bogolov. Like I might be butchering his first name, but Markovic is an upside pick too. They go. Amari goes, and he's going to Boston. And I was like, oh, he's going to Boston. That's that's a good pick for them. Bobolov's going to, I believe, he's going to the Bucks. Then Javon Small goes, and then like, all right, maybe Proctor or I was thinking of Kobe Sanders too. And then Proctor goes. Then I'm like, all right, Kobe Sanders is there. He's someone that I was intrigued about. Okay, maybe 6'7", can is just a good player, strong, maybe we take him, and then we trade the pick. We trade the pick, and I'm not sure. I gotta see. Maybe I could find out from Beggs what the trade exactly was. What else did we get in the return? Trying to see. Because I was at work yesterday, so I didn't get to watch it all, like all on live. But I'm trying to see, or maybe it was just a straight. All right, so the Knicks just got the draft rights to Luka Mitrovic, who was taken like a decade ago, right? So that sucks. I would have liked Kobe Sanders, but they fouled with the 51st pick, and the Knicks wound up taking Mohamed Diawara, the French kid. And if you in the KFTV chat, we were like, no, Chris, don't jinx with the French guys. And sorry guys, we will end up getting another Frenchman with upside, and the Knicks have a quite a fascination with the French, but they wound up taking the French forward, Mohamed Diawara. He is an intriguing prospect for sure. He has all the size you want, 6'8", 200 plus pounds, strong, built like an ox, has that, you're not going to get wild with the stats. Like I said, this is from what I heard, he's coming to the States and play. Like, I don't know if this is technically a drafting stats, but 6'8", 6'9" range, 7'4" wingspan. And that's always going to get you drafted. If you have the 6'8", 7 plus wingspan build, I don't care what your stats are, you have a high chance of getting drafted. You have a +5 or more wingspan, you are going to get drafted. I think it's a 9 plus, standing reach. It's impressive. Like, his physical tools are impressive, but just some stuff here. He played in the French Metallic Elite League. Averaged 6 points, 3 rebounds. Started for the French under 20 team that won the Euro Championships last year. An impressive physical, talent. Things need to be worked on offensively. The offense is not there. It's not there right now. So do not expect to see any much offensive, in transition. Yeah, you may be able to see some stuff. I think he'll be able to do some stuff on that end, but you're not going to get much else. The shooting isn't there. Not a good free throw shooter. He's just simply really raw, and I don't know if he'll ever be able to be the offensive player that some may have wanted, with that pick. But obviously, you're limited on what you can get. Like, a lot of the players that I really wanted were gone. Like I said, 8 there were 8 or 9 guys that went, consecutively that I would have liked. So I'm just gonna try to pull up some stats from him so I can try to give you a better analysis of him. Like I said, all the measurables and all. Shot 32% from three, 51% from the free throw line. Those are very Mitchiest numbers. Like I said, you're not gonna get much. You're not gonna get much from him. Offensively. He is just going to be a defensive type of guy. Plays the lanes really well. Like I said, strong, has the length, arm length. So those are just some things. Has a good motor. So those are just some things to look forward to in Mohamed Diawara. A simple upside pick. I didn't have him on my board. He wasn't a top 59, 60 player for me. I might have had, like, if I would have put him overall on the board, maybe he would have been in the 70-ish, 80 range because he does have upside, and he is 6'8", 6'9" with a 7'4" wingspan, and those things teams are going to absolutely love. And you can always everyone thinks they can fix those type of guys and mold them into some type of player, but we'll see. I don't know how he's going to fit into the rotation, or even if he even sees the rotation this year. I wouldn't think so, but we'll see. We'll see how he works in summer league. So that's who the Knicks picked with the 51st pick. They had originally drafted Kobe Sanders, but then traded it to the Clippers for a draft rights for my player from way before, and the rights to draft Mohamed Diawara. So not a lot of drama with the Knicks in the draft. And then followed that with Alex Tui, which I would have been intrigued about too in New York. Then John Tajay, the kid from Wisconsin, can score. Older prospect, but he can score. Then Talon Peter, from Liberty, Lakeland Ulbridge, the Australian kid, Will Richard. Florida gets 3 guys drafted in this draft. I had a prediction of 2 in the first. Elijah, fell into the 30s. So almost. Max Cholga from VCU. He's going to the Boston Celtics. Chilo Niang, the guard from Senegal. He's going to the Cavs, and then to follow up, Jemai Mashak from Tennessee ends the draft. So that, like I said, 59 picks. Wish they would do 60. Somebody deserved to get it. Someone got screwed out of not getting their name heard. And there were some interesting players that did not get drafted. Some guys that were on my board. Guys like Eric Dixon, Lad Golden, they were on my board. Dink Pate, R.J. Lewis, Hunter Salas, Ryan Nemhard, Tamar Bates. There's some, Bryce Williams, some interesting names. I think Eric Dixon is going to the Lakers. I don't know. I didn't hear anything about Vlad. I could be wrong. Nothing on Dink Pate. Hunter Salas, I'm not sure. I forgot where RJ Lewis is going. Ryan Hemard, I got to check up on where some of these guys are going. But yeah, some interesting names. Obviously, you see RJ Lewis, and ever since that last game in the second round of the NCAA tournament, where he had, I think, shot 3 of 17, and then got benched to end the game, by Rick Pitino, then put his name in the transfer portal. I thought he was definitely worthy of getting drafted, but I think the efficiency, and then maybe that incident, maybe that kind of scared teams away. And, so RJ Lewis didn't even get drafted. That bit of a disappointment there for him. But Hunter Salas, I was surprised, but, there's some efficiency issues there too. Dink Pate, another guard, efficiency issues. Eric Dixon, I think teams probably were worried about where does he fit Like, what is this? He doesn't play defense. He's not a great defender. Um, not a great athlete. So do you want that on the court? Especially if you're going to be a second round pick. He can score, tremendous scorer, but Tamar Bates, I really liked a lot, but an undersized guy, but I think he's gonna be a pro. I really think he's gonna be a pro. Same thing with like Mark Sears. A lot of people ask me about him, but like an undersized, big who took a step down this year and play wasn't as good as he was. Still good, but what can he do off ball? Defensively struggles, so I can understand why he didn't get drafted. Ryan Nemhart, I thought, but he kind of, excuse me, some of the some of the same issues were like Mark Sears with size, explosiveness, stuff like that. Um, who else surprising? No, that was pretty much all the guys I was really surprised about. But it's a couple of these guys got signed two ways. I got to see who exactly. But it was a yeah. Let's go back to one night drafts, please. We don't need two nights. This just wasn't needed at all. Wasn't needed at all. Go back to one night drafts, please. NBA. We don't need two nights. It was uneventful. The coverage is very much lacking. Not good coverage. That needs a major overhaul. Major overhaul. But some of the winners. Let's talk about that. Some of the winners. Um, I liked Orlando's draft. I liked what Orlando did. I think Orlando came away with a really good draft, getting some good value. Getting Jace Richardson. That was good. Noah Penda at 32, where some people had him, top 20, top 25. So to get that, I really like what they did a lot. Jace to me should have went higher. I had him all going a lot higher, and they got good value there. Got good value there. So liked what they did. I liked what the Sacramento Kings did. Nate Clifford, where they got him. Maxime Renault to get a guy who had 11th, get him at 42. That's really good. Obviously, the Spurs, they did a good job getting Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant. I like Carter Bryant going where he went. Good value. Um, the Jazz, I know the situation with Ace isn't ideal, but getting Walter Clayton, solid. And then Don Tajay at 53. Like, he's a scorer. Like, I don't know if he'll even play, but if he does, like he can do some things with the ball in his hand. Wizards, the Wizards, they're solid too. Jameer Watkins getting him at 43. Will Riley at 21. I like him. I think he's gonna be a good scorer. Just got to add a few lbs. I think he could be a good scorer at the next level. Trey Johnson too, one of the better shooters in the draft. So those are some teams I liked a lot. The Pelicans. eh, I I was talking to a Pelicans fan and he loved what they did, but I'm not. I don't know, man. I had Jeremiah Fears lower. I have him like outside the lottery. I worry about some of the efficiency stuff. Derek Queen, I liked, but the fit there with Zion, I don't know. That's gonna be tough. Micah Peavy, I did like. That was solid, but I mean, didn't they trade their I'm looking, I'm trying to look. Queen. Oh, I think they traded their pick next year. So yeah, that's gonna be that's tough. Um a Pelican, I mean the Clippers, I even the Pacers I think had a solid draft for just having picks in the second round. Um well, the Nets, obviously. We talked about the Nets yesterday. The Nets, very questionable. Very questionable what the Nets did. Um very questionable what Brooklyn did. I'm still trying to figure out what they were trying to do. Miami getting Kasparas Yakionis at what they got, that was solid. Um, Hornets, not bad. They got some good picks. They got some good players, some serious players. So that's not bad. The Brooklyn, man, I don't know. Like they drafted a lot of guys that are like pure upside, and it could be risky drafting that many type of upside guys. You know, so I like that the Hawks got where they got Austin Noel. So just some of my thoughts on the draft, and please make it back to one night. But other news: Masai Ujiri no longer with the Raptors. He got fired. He was let go from the Toronto Raptors. Been there for a while. Obviously known for making the trade for DeMar DeRozan, trading him for Kawhi Leonard, and helping them win their first championship in 2019. But he is let go. I mean, that's interesting that they let him be in the draft, and then the next day they fire him. So that's very interesting. That they did that. Don't know the basis around why they did it, but the Raptors haven't been the same since they won that championship. Like they've been on a steady decline. They've definitely tried to be a competitive team, but it hasn't hit like it did back. But an impressive resume what he's able to do. And at one point, people were talking about should we trade draft picks to get Masai? Like he was that thought of, and I'm sure he'll be back in a front office for sure because he is a very talented mind. But it was definitely time for a change in him. So Masai Ujiri um, no longer a part of the Toronto Raptors organization. Any other news? The Knicks don't have a coach still. The Knicks still don't have a head coach. So Knicks still don't have a head coach. So we'll see if they finally figure out if they'll get a head coach. And I think that's it. There's not much else. We'll get here's some Cam Whitmore discussions. I think he's someone he's Cam Whitmore's the type of player that I could see if he goes to a certain situation, he could blossom. He's one of those type of players. You trade for him, he'll make a major leap. Get some Ace Bailey information. Ace Bailey has had minimal contact with the Jazz since being drafted and has yet to arrive in Utah. Oh man, that's crazy. The Jazz are not expected to give in to Ace Bailey's demands. Oh, we're gonna see. That's an interesting situation. That's a very interesting situation. We'll see how that pans out. We'll see how that pans out. Very interesting times. Very interesting times. But that's going to end it for the Off the Ball podcast. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone who put in the work for these drafts. There's and put in the time to evaluate these players. Like some of the best evaluators are not on TV or not, independent, scouting. These guys are doing just as good a job as some of these guys in front offices. So shout out to all those guys. I love to get information from these people, and it helps me, better understand, the scouting process, the scouting, what goes behind it, these evaluations. So shout out to those, and shout out to anyone who had me on their platforms to discuss draft. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I am a guru. I am a scout. I love to understand who's coming into the draft, understand and try to, in a sense, try to give you guys a Cliff Notes version of who's coming in. I'm not going to break down all the analytics of it, but I will give you guys enough information so you better understand who's coming in, and especially with the Knicks at 50, and now they took they went to 51. Just like Mohamed Diawara, just give you some information on these guys so you could better understand who was potential targets for the Knicks. So appreciate everyone. This draft season is always fun. And now we get ready for free agency, and we'll see what trades are going to happen. And, then we get ready for summer league. NBA never stops. So appreciate everyone. Make sure to follow me. All my links are below in my YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like, comment. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all those good things. So on that note, be well, be safe, take care. Peace out.
Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.